Guten Morgen and welcome to another episode of Chad's Solo Surf Safaris. I'm back after a little break, and guess what? We had more rain, another couple of inches, 48 millimeters that fell on the weekend and have turned this place into an even greener paradise. It is pretty remarkable to see. So we're going to be heading out now and seeing what we can find. I'll point out any changes that have occurred since last week. A few other tree species that are suddenly flowering, and yeah, just look at this grass. Seems to be getting longer and taller by the day, and greener too. But yeah, we would like to find some animals today, some with 4 legs, and show those to you. So I've got no plan, I've got no idea what's been going on around here the last week. So just take it easy, go on a bit of a bumble and see what shows itself. So come along for the ride. See what we find here. We have a squirrel alarm calling in that tree. Franklin's sitting up a tree over here, alarm calling. My money is on there being a leopard here, but also on me not finding it. So let's see. Worth maybe going back a couple of sofa safaris ago and seeing just how dry this bush was, how brown it was, and now looking at the greenery that is surfacing. Change is remarkable, and again, this has happened in 2 weeks since our first rains. It's always a special time of the year. Okay, before you freak out and think, oh my goodness, this is going to be a flower drive, you got to see this one. Rygosum zambeziacum, the Mopani pomegranate, which is just in a profusion of flowers here. Look at this. How beautiful is this guy? I mean, even when we did this episode, I filmed it about a week ago, there wasn't a shred of evidence that these trees even existed. And now, it always happens in October. It's not really related to the rain as much, and they normally stand out even more because they're the only splash of colour at this time of year. It's been very odd this year getting so much rain so early, but just look at how many flowers are on this tree. The Mopani pomegranate. Mopani pomegranate, not because they're related to Mopani trees, but often found growing in Mopani felt. Can hear elephants shouting behind me, and it sounds like rhinos growling at each other. Those elephants are very upset. So the most frequent thing we would use this for is almost as Christmas decorations in the lodge. And if you look at it, all of the branches grow perpendicular to the other. So it can make a very good makeshift Christmas tree by finding the right branch and throwing some decorations on it. So good time of year to come find them, because it's the only time they really stand out. And then you can also see tiny little leaflets here. So those are your compound leaves again, and you can see by having the one on the tip, remember that is imparapenately compounded leaves. There we go, that's flowers, done for the day. While I am actually busy with trees, I can't help but point out a particular tree for one of our viewers, Mr. Norman Gray. Norm Dog, these over here are magic guaris. Not the ones that were growing leaves, because remember, these ones are evergreen. So these big, thick, waxy and wavy leaves of the magic guaris, Euclea divinorum, they stay on the tree all year round. So even now during winter, they would have stood out more because they were the only green ones. Everything in the back there is a guari, but they are far less easy to notice now because of the fact that everything else surrounding it is turning green or a bright yellow. But yeah, this is the magic guari. I think you were talking about either raisin bushes or terminalias that were budding. So I know I probably shouldn't be showing that, but it's a freaking baby. How cool is that? These are obviously the ones I could hear calling while looking at my bush. And there's another dehorned bull walking past now, but I just thought I'd give you a glimpse of some positive news, some new life in an otherwise endangered species. It's being followed by big flocks of wattled starlings that are back in the area now. The crash are just there gathering the insects that are disturbed as these large creatures are walking. So yeah, wattled starlings, they haven't really been around. They are coming to breeding season now, so the males are much more pronounced with their wattles. But what you find is that they're locally abundant to locally relatively scarce. They're nomadic, so they just move around and their numbers fluctuate quite widely. But there they go. A very pleasant scene of a lone elephant walking across the showroom. That's I think the second or third group of zebras I've seen this morning. Nice to see them, and not a surprise now that the rain has fallen. Green grass is sprouting up everywhere. There's food here again. There's water, everything they need. Yes, I'm talking about you. Maybe more wildebeest than zebras, but they've been known to follow the rains, even in this area. Obviously, the great migration of East Africa is driven by that rainfall that provides the energy that supports these mass migrations of more than 1 million, close to 1.5 million animals. When the rain's falling, the Masai Mara in Kenya, the Serengeti is dry, so the herds make their way up there for that short rainy season, and then as soon as the nutrients are gone and the grass is done, they start making the long trek back down to the Serengeti plains, where by the time they arrive and are ready to calve in January, February, the rains have fallen and provided grass there, so they really just follow the rains. Doesn't happen to that same level here in South Africa. We haven't got mass migrations, but there are local movements from zebras looking for greener pastures. And I remember once seeing it in the Kruger Park. They'd burnt quite a big area late in the summer, so there was still a bit of moisture in the ground to sprout some greenery. And there must have been well over 1,000 zebras gathered in an area of a few square kilometers, which is incredible to see. We get it here too, not 1,000, but I mean I've seen gatherings of close to 100 on open areas with fresh green grass. I'm sorry for maybe revisiting some of the ideas and concepts that we discussed in our solo and sofa safaris, but sometimes after the rain, like we've had now, certain principles and phenomena become a lot easier to see. And the one you can see pouring out of the ground behind me was the concept of something we call seep lines. And remember we discussed the Katina effect, where you've got the sandy soils up near the crest and the clay rich soils down below. So the water infiltrates after the rain through the sandy soil, hits the impermeable layer of the clay and runs along the interface of the clay and the sand until it reaches the surface of the slope, and then that water starts pouring out, and that is what we call a seep line. And they're active now during the summer months. Is what it looks like. You can see the water literally coming out of the ground, very, very soft, but this is going to provide moisture that is going to allow grasses to be sustained in these areas long after the others have dried up, because of the lack of soil moisture. Because of we've had 130 mils, so what's that, 5 inches of rain over the last 2 weeks. So these seep lines are going to be quite active here. You'll get, as you mentioned, different communities of grasses and sedges growing. But if we come a little bit further up the slope, you'll see how the land and sand actually quickly dries. Well, except for this big massive spot of water coming out here. One thing that is not always ideal on these seep lines is to actually have roads going through, because what happens Obviously the roads get very wet, but also this water seeps out and there's no grass or anything to protect it. So it starts running off and draining the seep line. So what they've actually done here on this section of road is closed it, thrown some logs over just to slow down the force of the water, and hopefully, with things like the rocks there, it will actually stop the soils, let the soils recover, let the grasses grow on top of those, and recover this portion of the seep line that was previously exposed on a road. Not going to be long before we stop seeing these guys. Not because they go anywhere, but just as the grass grows and the bush gets thicker, it becomes much more difficult to spot these little steenbok. Their ability to disappear into the environments increases manifold. But just as we pan across here, you'll just see how there's this luminous green grow to the bush these days. Pregnant belly on this female. She cannot be far away from popping. Look how rounded and bulging that is. With a 14.5-month gestation, I imagine she's very close to 14 months. That can't be long. Sure, she can't wait. So Meshatten Dam that you were probably quite familiar with if you watched my day at the dam. Water-wise, not vastly different from what it was then. Obviously it's dried and filled up again, but just look at the surrounds. And we also now have a hippo in there. Welcome to the high-octane life of a hippo who lives alone. Well, are there two of them there? I'm sure it's probably just his nostrils. But yeah, he's asleep. It's late morning. A bit of wildebeest moving out onto the clearing, which look like they'll be a lot more interesting. I actually think there may be two hippos here. So much for our hippos always being alone. See, the one guy is back, and then nostrils pop up on the other side, but to his right, something else keeps popping up out the water. I don't actually know what it is, but it must be a hippo. Okay, so we have our hippo with his terrapin on the back, and there his nostrils are just behind his back. But every now and then something pops up to the right. Yeah, that thing. It has to be another hippo, right? Quite a curious herd, often relatively nervous of the vehicles. Understandably so. It's one of the favoured prey items of lions in the area. I cannot remember if these guys appeared on our safaris or not. It is a dung beetle. Oh, he's found a hole in a wildebeest spoor that he does not like. So he's going to carry on. And here is the drama of a pile of dung. Oak in the front has been flung off his dung. by this guy who's now going to carry on piling some moist wildebeest dung into it. But he is back on his feet and he's not having a second chance. He's going to go and make his own dung ball, or another dung ball. But yeah, these are the large copper dung beetles that are so evident and so comical to watch. They've been dormant through the winter, and now that the rains have come and the ground is moist again, they are going to busily spend their days making these dung balls. And the reason they do it is, well, manifold. Could be as a ball of food for themselves that they'll go and bury. It could be a ball of food that they'll just roll away and eat. But most of the time it is a brood ball that is going to be presented to a female, and they will mate. She will lay an egg inside there, and he will bury it underground. And the female will stay with the dung ball for the 3 odd months that it takes for those grubs to emerge, and then if there's time later on in the season, she will have another go at it. But if these guys can get going early, then there's a good chance that they're going to be able to have 2, or the females anyway will have two grubs this season. So I think because it's so early in the year, there's not as much competition, although as I say that these guys are going to engage in a bit of a fight. He's sneaking up. Hey, I like this one, give it to me. Well, now I'm very confused because those two are fighting earlier. Now there's 2 on the same dung ball, building and adding to it, and there doesn't seem to be much aggression between them. And I'm sure the bigger guy, closest to us, knows that the second one is on there. They can make balls that weigh 80 to 100 times more than themselves. I've seen, especially after good rains early in the year, these guys making dung balls the size of tennis balls. You may find this is a pair, male and a female together, and that's why there's not as much aggression. It's normally just the male that makes the ball, from my understanding of their behavior, but I've never made one for Monique, and I don't think it would go down too well. She prefers more sparkly things for her birthday than a part of, no matter how well crafted that dung ball may be, just doesn't do it for her. And now that I'm actually lying on the ground filming this, I have flashbacks of having done this already for Surf Safari. So sorry if you've seen them, but always worth watching, especially after so many months absence. You can see very nicely how they use the back of the legs to control and then the front legs to push. Having a look where to go, orientating with the sun. He fell off his ball. So proof that it was actually a male and female. This is now the male pushing and the lady sitting on navigating. It is warming up, but the game seems to quieten down. Not a great deal out in the east again. This is strangely where the river pride have been hanging out. They've completely shifted their territory and become very scarce, but the signs and sightings we have had of them in the last couple of weeks has been down this side of the reserve. So just having a look for them, and we'll see how it goes. You can see a big track for one of the Naru males here. He headed up the road out of the Mashatan. You can see as this little guy's turning his head around, those pearl spots at the back that get exposed. Hence the name, pearl spotted owl. I've seen him before, but yeah, I think now as summer comes and these trees full with leaves, they're going to be far more difficult to spot. I'm going to be making my way back to the camp for the morning. It is heating up now, and it seems as though most things have gone to sleep. So yeah, we'll be heading out again this afternoon, so we'll see you very, very shortly. So it is afternoon, and I've brought someone along. It's Monique again. Last time she found us the big 5-in-1 drive. Let's see if she can find us just 1 or 2 of those today. So Monique's first find are some nyalas with a little baby there. She's got a lot of nyalas hanging around camp at the moment. Even with the rain coming and there now being food available everywhere, they're still very much at home here, as they have been throughout lockdown. So I've got a beautiful male nyala watching his ladies very closely. The magic is working already. We're not even a kilometre from camp and we've got some elephants here. They must be loving life now. Water everywhere, food sprouting all over this show. We had mentioned in our regular surf safaris how they hadn't really turned too much to the trees by the end of our regular filming. The grass was still green enough, but as July and August pushed on, it got very dry. But now, I mean, again, we're not even middle of October yet, and they are having this bounty of food laid out for them. So back to feeding on the grasses. You'll probably find that this time of year about 50% of their diet will come from grass and about 50% from the sprouting new leaves growing on the trees. So anything you need to tell us about elephants?
They're quite intimidating, especially if they whack their ears around, like this one just did, but otherwise they're actually very pleasant to look at.
Excellent. I know you said that through gritted teeth. Making her work very hard. Wonderful elephant experience.
Right on my side.
There's a large number of them around here at the moment. Scattered all along the shoreline here. And why not? If I was an elephant, I think this is probably where I would choose to be, with water and greenery and shade and scenery. Not that they care as much about the scenery as I do, but it is looking pretty magnificent.
There's a giraffe up on the hill as well.
And my track is pointing out a giraffe somewhere there.
I think it's behind the bush.
There is the giraffe. You might also see a few zebras just to the left of it. For those that have visited us before, that toilet may be very familiar. That is our toilet at our bush breakfast, which would not be a wise place to visit at this very moment because it is surrounded by elephants. Still they fill our frame. Blackback jackal resting off the road here on Cheetah Plains. All the flush of green showing behind it. It's a hot day and that one's lying out in the middle of the sun. I'm not quite sure why. They say mad dog's an Englishman. It did have a partner that just ran off, maybe. They're enjoying the sunshine. It's been a bit of a rarity over the last few days. Clearly listened to my advice and has gone and sought some shade now instead. You do looking very alert and concerned at something in the grass there. No such thing as a free game drive. You can do it.
Quite thorny, this one.
It's quite called a knobthorn. Perfect.
Here we go.
Thank you, baby.
You're welcome.
So the afternoon has come to an end. Monique has been a great help. Found us 2 of the big 5. Sadly, we could only show you 1 of them. But still not the drive that I was hoping to have for you folks. So I'm going to go out again tomorrow morning and hopefully add a few more species to the video. But I guess if you're watching this and you see that there's still like another 10 minutes of the video left, you know that it's not ending. So keep on watching. But Monique, for now, because she definitely won't be up at 6 tomorrow. Yes, that is the one who won't be awake early. She's just pointing out some lion tracks in the mud here.
Yes,
but what's your
old.
They're old, okay,
Yeah.
so we're not going to go tracking.
No, not today. I think they've moved off quite farther than this. But yes, I tried to find us some cats, but they were very elusive. And I'll try to get up tomorrow morning. Chad's usually the early risers, so we'll see what happens. But for now, enjoy the beautiful sunset.
Alright, I will see you tomorrow morning, as in like in 2 seconds time. Good morning. It is another day and it looks like it's going to be a cracker of a morning. There's scheduled to be some wind, but yeah, we're going to head out. And when I say we, I have an empty tracker seat because quite unsurprisingly Monique decided that a 5:15 wake up was not for her. So it's just me and the cameras and hopefully a few friends. We got woken up at just after 4 this morning with the male lion walking past our house at about maybe 100 meters away, roaring his head off. So we're going to go and have a look. Unsurprisingly, we have an elephant kickstarting things this morning. Just a lone bull feeding outside the camp. And an amazing chorus of birds. They say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I'm now doing my 3rd drive in a row on basically the same route and expecting a different result. I don't know if that says something about my mental state or about just how much I believe that the East can deliver. Today we actually have the help. The tracks are out here at the moment and they have got tracks for River Pride and that Nara male. They've been having glimpses of the Nara male that walk past camp. He's on a mission so they can never keep up with him. But hopefully there will be some lions appearing on this very screen soon. We're scratching out in the east here for the River Pride. They've completely shifted territory over the last month or so. They've been very erratic, but the last couple of weeks they've been hanging out in this eastern section where they haven't hung out before. So I'm not sure what's brought on this, whether it is the rainfall and suddenly the availability of water and potential of food here, whether there doesn't appear to have been any competition from the north. But it's the same kind of pattern that the Mayambula Pride used before they moved even further south and into the Kruger. So I hope history is not going to repeat itself. I hope this is just a temporary move. But yeah, it's kind of left a void around the central and western part of our concession. So it will be interesting to see whether any other lions do start filling that void. Perhaps even the Giraffe Pride are spending a little bit more time in the eastern part of their territory. The youngsters trying to hide away from the Monwana males. They may even be tempted to keep on pushing east and deeper into our concession. So time will tell. What insanity. It's a leopard. This was literally seconds after I looked at a log, convinced it was a leopard. And now Thumbela shows. So yeah, a stroke of luck. She was walking down the road. She's actually just gone into a rocky outcrop, calling for cubs that she clearly has. She's lactating heavily. So I'm just going to sit here for a bit because there is a strong possibility that could be a den site. Let's wait. There's a freaking cub in there. Okay. It's not easy to get to and obviously very sensitive. We're not even sure how old these things are. But I'm going to just sit it out and hope that it comes out and we can get at least some shot for you. So yeah, sorry, I haven't been doing much filming because it's very difficult. They're right in the thickets and I don't want to go too close, obviously. Confirmation of definitely one cub. Couldn't even see it well enough to tell you how old it is, but yeah, we'll sit here for a bit longer. We're quite lucky that she has put it close to a road. I mean, she saw me coming down the road. She didn't even hesitate, walked straight to the den side, started calling the cub out. So she's obviously very, very comfortable, and yeah, this could provide some amazing viewing over the coming days or weeks. And as long as mom's comfortable, then these cubs start feeling fine as well. While she's at the den site, we would view it, but if she moves away, obviously we close the area. Very strict protocols when it comes to viewing young cubs. But yeah, it'll be great to actually just hang around a bit, get an idea of how old this cub is, and then we can take it from there with the planning and the controls in place. Look at this. Wow. Oh, I'm literally shaking. Look at this. Look at this. Wow. What do you say? What can you say after something like that? I'm freaking shaking, man. That is unbelievable. Wow. Wow. I don't know if she's had another cub because she came from that direction straight back to the den, let this one suckle and then moved it. But unbelievable. I literally cannot do any better than that. So, as the saying goes, quit while you are ahead. I'm going to be heading back to put this video together so you all can enjoy it. But wow. I hope you enjoyed that. I know it wasn't a lot of footage, but I hope that the little bits you saw made it worth looking at a lot of flowers and insects for. But until next time, guys, keep well. Yeah, we'll keep you posted as things happen with Thumbela and that cub. I'm not sure where she's going to move it to, how many she's got, but fantastic, fantastic news that we know roughly where she is with her den site. So thanks, guys. Till next time, keep well.